Hi, this is Les-Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. We got our first look at Andre-Drummond last night, and other than the fact that he took 3 three-pointers and made 2 of them, he looked pretty good. Shouldn't do that again, though. Kevin Love went out of his way to get the ball inside. Drummond wasn't ready to take advantage of the situation. I don't have any idea how John Beilein is going to use Drummond, Love, and Tristan-Thompson together, along with 2 guards who have no concept of distributing the ball around. Then you've got a football team in town with a first-year, 32-year-old general manager, a 37-year-old head coach for the first time in the NFL, a quarterback coming off a bad year, a wide receiver who's going to try to confuse his coaches and his teammates, and then a great defensive end who's going to wait to see if the commissioner is going to let him play this year. Then, of course, we have a baseball team. All that team does is win every season with one of the top managers in the game. And that's the team you all like to rip on. I don't get it. Jim Ingraham is here. More Sports and Les-Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les-Levine, it's a Monday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les-Levine into its 24th consecutive year, seen exclusively on cleveland.com. Jim Ingraham is here, and what's new?
Nothing with the Cavs, right?
No, same old, same old.
I mean, they had a new player and lose by more. That's not the way it's supposed to work, is it?
He was pretty impressive, but he probably didn't think his teammates were very impressive.
Yeah, I wonder what he was thinking after that game. Like
Detroit, come get me. Can you imagine a player like that who is terrific in many aspects of the game? He's getting traded from Detroit. He says, "Oh, this is great. Oh, by the way, you're going to Cleveland."
Yeah, one of the few teams worse than the one you left.
Right. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can email us during the show at the address you see at the bottom of the screen, which is reallesslevine@gmail.com. Lots of stuff happening as it always does. Did you get a look at the vacation photos of Baker Mayfield? The one where he didn't look like
no,
he was put together very well.
Where are they at?
I think they're going to be on our screen momentarily.
They're on vacation though.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
There they are.
Baker would be the one on the far left.
Oh, he looks like the pool boy for the rest of us.
Now, do you go, like, with your fellow media members, do you go on vacation with them?
With the players?
No, with the fellow media members.
Oh, yeah, no, I've never been on vacation, proud to say, with any of my coworkers.
Right. So they don't ask you either, let alone you asking them.
You know, the first time, remember last year when Mayfield was at the Indians game and he was chugging beers or something up there, and that's the first time when you could see he looked, shall we say, overly fleshy.
Overly fleshy.
I mean, he didn't look, the picture you just had up there, those guys, the rest of those guys look like pro football players.
And he could get away with it.
He looks like, the guy that's the valet parking guy.
Yeah, no, the pool boy, I think.
Yeah, that's fine too.
Right.
I mean, not that he's ever looked ripped, but I mean, he looks less than ripped.
Well, you know what Saquon Barkley, who was in that picture, you know what he says in defense of Baker?
No.
He's a quarterback. He's not supposed to be shredded. Shredded, I assume, means well put together, right?
He was shredded last year.
Yeah, right.
He was trying to pass.
He wasn't shredding defenses, I can tell you that. He's going to have time to get his body right. He can throw the ball 80 yards. That's the only thing that matters. Well, if you throw it 80 yards to a guy on your team.
Well, that's not good if the pattern's only for 10 yards, though.
Right. He overthrew him by 70. Yeah. Did you watch any of the XFL?
I did not, and I'm proud to say.
You can admit it. Come on.
I did. I inadvertently caught a couple highlights on TV.
That's how I feel about the Pro Bowl.
The one team looks like they have the colors of some kind of Kool-Aid, like lime Kool-Aid or something. I don't know. But I guess they got everything goes out over the air now. The play calls, the players.
There's some that I didn't see it, but I heard people talking about it that. You can hear the offensive coordinator talking to his quarterback. So you say, well, if the defense is sharp, they can have somebody watching the game and can
bang
call
on a garbage can.
and call Altuve to come in. And the answer is it's really there's about a 4 or 5 second delay of the transmission, so it wouldn't do you good. It wouldn't do you any good to know what the play had been already.
What is the purpose of this league? I mean,
I have no idea.
The Super Bowl was
money.
a week ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not like, at the end of the World Series, they don't invent some baseball league to start playing a week after that because the country may not be able to handle no baseball for 3 months. I think we could handle a couple months without actual football.
Yeah, but
games.
I think many people who proclaim themselves football fans, if you didn't put the uniforms on them, or you put the same uniforms on everybody, I wonder how many people would look at that game and say, yeah, that looks like the NFL to me.
Maybe. I mean, I'll bet you there were a lot of people that even bet on those games. Like, how would you even know?
They even put the point spreads on the bottom of the screen where it says the score and yardage.
Wasn't this like the first game?
Yeah. How would you know if they're a
brand new league?
Right. You don't know if they're a 3-point favorite or a 43-point favorite.
I mean, that I'm no expert by no means on betting, but to me, that's got like pigeons written all over it for the casinos and the bookies and everything. How could anyone know anything about any of the players or any of the teams?
You can't. And then by the second week, they'll know the bookies will know everything.
If you bet on that, that's like betting on the Pro Bowl even, or
right.
That stuff.
All right, so Saquon Barkley came to his defense. Charles Barkley now gets into the action as he usually does, and when he's not quoted very often, but he gets quoted today talking about the Philadelphia 76ers, and he says the following. I picked the Sixers to get to the finals. I think they're the softest, mentally weakest team with a bunch of talent. They're the Cleveland Browns of the NBA. They've got the talent and talk, that's it. One of our bosses had me on the Cleveland Browns bandwagon. They came out telling everybody how good they were going to be. Then they got punched in the mouth in game 1 and got punched for the rest of the season.
So he's trying to rip the Sixers, but he ends up ripping the Browns more than the Sixers.
It's one of the dangers of having such a bad organization.
Yeah, you get dragged into a fight you're not even in.
How about Barkley, who had an excellent career, Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah.
And he's always remembered as the guy who didn't make it to the finals, to the championship.
Yeah. Well, that's because they didn't have super teams back then. He could have gone to a team.
You were telling me, I didn't get a chance to see it. I saw some of the highlights of it. Bobby Knight returning to Indiana, left under bad circumstances, but bought a house a while ago in Indianapolis, or in Bloomington, but he didn't want anybody to know he was there.
I think this was the first time in 20 years he'd been in that arena since he left, and he looked extremely old and somewhat feeble. It was nice to see.
What is he, 80?
Sad to see. I think he's close to that, yeah.
I always wanted to root for him. And then we'd do something stupid to make me say, well, why would I want to root for him? You throw a guy in a garbage can.
As his career went on, he was really easy to root for, then less easy. And then by the end of his career, he was just this big bully, out-of-control bully that no one could handle. And it's unfortunate that it evolved that way and ended that way. And I think him going back there, they're trying to, soften it up in this later years.
Yeah, but I think he owed it to the players he's had over the years. They were doing reunions for championship teams and everything, and he claimed he didn't want to be the center of the attention, but he was, by doing that, he was.
Yeah, he had an odd way of not being the center of attention.
Yeah. All right, so Myles Garrett met with Roger Goodell today. They met. They didn't say there was no resolution. They didn't say he'll be able to play all the games, none of the games. Yeah. What do you think is going to happen here?
So apparently he's not allowed to play any games until
he's told.
Yeah. So fortunately there are no games for another 3 or 4 months unless he wants to play in the XFL. Maybe he would be a high draft.
That would not be a good PR move.
No. I would assume that he'll be cleared to play by the start of next year. Otherwise,
without missing any more games.
I would think so. Yeah. I mean, it was a pretty stiff penalty that he served, and it was a pretty foolish thing that he did to end up.
Well, he's just lucky it didn't make connections with the guy's head.
Yeah, that would have been very tragic.
All right, let me go back to Charles Barkley and the Philadelphia 76ers. They are 5th in the Eastern Conference right now, and 33-21, so they're 12 over the 500 mark, but that's not good enough.
Yeah, and I've watched not a lot of NBA, but enough that you watch the really good teams in the NBA and you say to yourself, boy, those guys are really good.
Right.
And you watch the Sixers, who are supposed to be really good, and you look at them and you just go, what are they trying to do? I mean, it doesn't even look like they're organized or even running plays. You know, they've got Embiid and Simmons. They seem like a terribly mismatched pair. Although Simmons is a point guard who can't shoot, might be mismatched on any team. But he's a really good, plays hard. He passes the ball well, plays good defense. But I just think it's hard to win when you don't have, when your point guard isn't one of the 1, 2, or 3 best players on your team.
When LeBron James went to Los Angeles last year, and they weren't good at all, did you think he was going to miss out on being a champion again, or did you think he'd get it pretty much together, or they get Anthony Davis, which will make the difference?
Well, yeah, I didn't specifically think of Davis, but he went out there knowing that
somebody was coming.
Yeah, they were gonna, because you know when LeBron plants his stake in a new city, it's just everybody lines up unless Kyrie Irving runs the other way.
Right.
But most right-thinking NBA players like to play with LeBron, and they are pretty good this year. I mean, they're very good. They got like 4. They got Davis and LeBron and JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard. That's like 4 gigantic guys if they want to go big.
Howard's been away from been in the game 42 years, I think.
Seems like it, yeah. And now he's like in the perfect role where he's not being looked on to have to carry the team. He just does Dwight Howard stuff.
Just in a word or two, do you see next year? Do you see Tristan-Thompson, Kevin Love, and Drummond on the same here in Cleveland?
I would say not all of them. I would say I was surprised Thompson wasn't traded, and I would think by the summer he would be, because he won't have to be traded because his contract's up at the end of the year.
Right. Did you know the Ohio Lottery has paid out over $1 billion in winnings over the past 6 months? People are winning at record numbers. Winning is happening all over the state of Ohio. Play an Ohio Lottery game and play it today. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine. New content posted each and every day. We have a question of the day each day, and we quote you most often every day here on More Sports and Less Levine, seen exclusively on cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Birthdays for today. Allie Reynolds played for the Yankees. I think he played a little with the Indians, I believe.
Yeah, I think he did.
Jerry Mander, now that we're in the voting season. Jerry Mander, born in 1947. Ty Law, Lance Berkman, Max Kepler of Minnesota, and Josh Rosen, the quarterback, all celebrating birthdays today, the 10th of February. Not one of the great days of birthdays, although you can't tell it to those guys.
Well, Jerry Mander, I'd say, is pretty significant.
Right, they got a primary going in New Hampshire. I wonder if that's where he's from. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Usually when you think of coaching changes, you think of the head coach and maybe a coordinator here and there, but the Browns have this down to a science where they've only rehired 2 coaches from the whole staff of 25 of them. Something like that?
That's not much of an exaggeration. Do you ever look at the list of most teams, NFL teams, the assistant coaches?
Except for the Patriots.
They don't have as many as others?
No, they have a couple.
Yeah.
I bet they have less than 10 assistant coaches, and most other ones have 27 or 30.
I'm surprised teams don't hire place kick holder coaches. That's all they do is work with the spinning of the ball.
Right. I'm sure somebody takes on that assignment for an extra $200,000 in his paycheck.
Literally, they have coaches for every position.
Could you imagine that? I want to be a holder. We don't have that position. What do you mean you don't have that position?
You have a holder? Well, then you need that position.
I mean, the long snapper can't snap it into the dirt and make it stick.
Or the coach that instructs the guy to go run out on the field to get the tee after every kickoff.
Remember the Houston Oilers had a guy that used to do that, do somersaults on the way out there?
Yeah.
You know?
He was more entertaining than some of the games.
How about the holder, or the kicker for that matter? Let's say the punter has a certain amount of kicks in his leg per week.
Yeah.
And he uses them up on Thursday.
Well, then
it's a problem on Sunday.
Your punting coach gets fired for that because you can't leave it on the practice field.
Right. Got to be a certain amount of numbers. All right, let's take a look at the Browns coaching staff and where they were last year. We'll check it out. Alex-van-pelt. And Pelt is a name that's been in the NFL for a long time. They're just not the same guy. And he's now the quarterback coach. He was a quarterback coach with Cincinnati back in 2019. He's the new offensive coordinator. The assistant T.C. McCartney was the quarterback coach last year in Denver. Stump Mitchell was with the Browns last year, and he's still the running back coach. Bill Callahan seems to be the find right here. He was the head coach at Washington last year. He's the offensive line coach. Drew Petzing is the tight end coach and wide receiver coach in Minnesota last year. And the wide receiver coach, Chad O'Shea, he was the offensive coordinator in Miami last year, and now he's the offensive he was the offensive coordinator, now he's the coach of the wide receivers. Things you need to know. Bill Callahan had head coaching experience, led the Raiders to Super Bowl 37. Van Pelt worked with Aaron Rodgers as quarterback coach from 2014 to 2017, when Rodgers was the MVP in the league in 2014. And offensive assistant T.C. McCartney drew praise for his work with quarterback Drew Lock. Went in because of an injury in Denver and went 4-1 to end the season. Here's a guy who nobody heard of, and he goes 4-1.
Well, there you go.
Defensively, let's take a look at what the Brown staff is now that they get Joe Woods as the defensive coordinator. No secret there. They waited until the Super Bowl was over. He was the defensive backs coach with San Francisco last year. I believe they gave up 3 touchdowns in the final quarter. Super Bowl?
Yeah, they did. Well, that's probably why they were willing to let him go.
Perhaps. Defensive line coach from the line of Kiffins. Chris Kiffin is there. He's the pass rush specialist. Linebacker coach Jason Tarver was he was defensive coordinator at Vanderbilt. Is that Amy?
Gloria,
yeah. Not Amy. All right. Defensive backs coach Jeff Howard was an assistant defensive backs coach in Minnesota. Joe Woods led the third-ranked Broncos defense in 2017. Kiffin helped lead the 49ers to 48 sacks in 2019. And Tarver was a defensive coordinator with the Raiders from 2012 to 2014. Woods, of course, was the DB coach in 2014.
I think you or I could have been the defensive line coach for the 49ers this year.
Yeah, just say the ball is over there, go.
Yeah. I mean, well, boy, those 4 guys.
I find that if you have better players, your coaches are better.
It's funny how that works, yeah. Are there any more Boses on the way, by the way?
No, I think that's it.
Oh,
unless his father still has some eligibility.
Well, he was in the league too, wasn't he, back in the day?
Yeah.
Jeez.
And remember Eric Kumaro from Ohio State? He's an uncle. He got pretty good genes in there.
Yeah.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. When we get back, we're going to check out your thoughts on the Indians. If we have time, we'll check out the outfield situation.
Well, we'll need a PowerPoint presentation for that, I think.
Yeah. Shanahan did that, and look what it got him. We're going to take a break. We'll come on back in a moment. 3 great locations for Northeast Factory Direct, plus the website, northeastfactorydirect.com. If you're looking for cabinets, you could pay $4,000, $5,000, but at Northeast Factory Direct, you can pay $1,800 for the same or better quality. They've got mattresses and hot tubs. Good time to buy a hot tub is right now at Northeast Factory Direct, the east, west, and to the south. West 140th in Cleveland, Lakeland Boulevard, the old B&B Appliance store in Euclid, and Freeway Drive, that's in Macedonia. northeastfactorydirect.com. Jim Ingraham and I come back in a moment. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively right here on cleveland.com.
Celebrate Naturestone's 30-year anniversary with a free Naturestone floor. During 2020, we will be giving away 30 free floors to 30 very lucky customers to say thank you for making Naturestone the best concrete flooring solution for garages, basements, and more. Call or visit naturestone.com today to register to win, and we'll send you a copy of our new buyer's guide absolutely free. There's no purchase necessary. Winners will be chosen monthly. With over 30 million square feet installed for more than 60,000 customers, it's easy to see why I always say it's not just a floor. Wow, it's Naturestone.
Just because I'm not $1 million price doesn't mean I'm worthless. We middle prices get zero respect. We're worth hundreds, even thousands. I mean, I'm a handsome bag of money. And there's $110 million worth of us in the Ohio Lottery Cash Celebration scratch-off alone. Plus, the odds of winning are off the chart. 1 in 3.
Play the $30 cash celebration for a chance to win up to $1 million.
You see?
Oh, and lots of prizes between $100 and $1,000.
Everybody wants $1 million. Would $500 be so bad? Come on.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Jim, this goes into the category of all-time Hall of Fame quickies.
Okay.
How come if skier Peekaboo Street donated $3 million to a wing in a hospital, it would be named the Peekaboo ICU? That just does not have to wait the 5 years.
That goes into the How Come Quickie Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and you don't have to wait to be eligible.
It's waived totally. First ballot. Peekaboo
unless it gambled on games.
Yeah, hopefully not.
What did you think of that, Pete Rose? You knew he was going to challenge the commissioner, right?
Yeah, he was probably the only person. Well, the only person happy that the Astros were cheating. So then now he can
there's an out.
And say, I'm a choir boy compared to these guys. What the heck?
It's unbelievable. You know, somebody said to me, "Well, Pete never bet against his team." Well, that would tell you something. If he bet on his team 3 games in a row, and he didn't bet the 4th game, some bookie's going to say, "Hey, Pete knows something here."
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know, you just say, "Well, he might."
If there's any person in the baseball landscape that would be more ominous to be betting on games, it's the guy who's literally in charge of one of the teams. You know,
right?
That's as bad as like the
whose name is Charlie Hustle.
Literally, yeah, in more ways than one.
Right.
And that's as bad as the NBA ref that got thrown out for betting on games. I mean.
Yeah, Tim Donahue. All right, let's take a look at the Indians roster. You got some injured guys, but you have pending the contract of Domingo Santana. You got 10 guys in the outfield.
It's going to be pretty crowded.
Well, instead of shifting, you just say you go to left, center. You go to center field. So here you have. Let's get a couple of words on each one of these guys. Greg Allen returns again. What do you think?
He's a nice 4th or 5th outfielder.
Delino-deshields.
Apparently, he's a very good defensive outfielder and the opposite offensively.
Sure. Jordan Luplow.
As long as the league doesn't run out of left-handed pitchers, he'll have a job.
Tyler-Naquin, when is he projected to be back?
I saw something recently. They're thinking like before the All-Star break, even though that injury I thought was going to be almost a year. I guess not.
Well, it's still got 4 or 5 months left on it. to get to that All-Star
He
game.
actually was looking pretty promising as a starter last year before he got hurt.
Domingo Santana, a lot of home runs on his resume.
Yeah, if he has to drive in more runs than he allows in on his defense.
He had 12 errors in right field.
That's hard to do.
It is hard to do. The second leading error guy had 7. Well, that pens a contract, whether he's injured or not. Jake Bowers, does he have a chance?
I'm not in the Bowers camp, let's say.
All right, let's say it.
Okay.
Daniel Johnson.
I am in the Johnson camp. I think I'd like to see him he could be this year's Oscar-Mercado. They bring him up like in May or June, and if he hits the ground running, he could elbow his way into the picture.
Is he from the Johnson family in Blazing Saddles?
I don't believe so. He's from the Washington Nationals family.
Oh, okay. Oscar-Mercado, a pleasant surprise last year.
Very pleasant, yeah. He can do a lot of different things.
And franmil-Reyes, can he play the outfield? He lost how many? He lost 20-some pounds?
Yeah, close to, yeah. They're going to give it a try. I mean, you know, even if he does, though, then you've got an opening at DH, which perhaps Santana could.
Yeah.
Domingo, they're a multi-Santana team now. Did you?
Yes.
You know, so.
All right, Bradley-Zimmer has been trying to get back from the injury, the big shoulder injury.
He's the one guy I still am kind of intrigued by. I mean, it's hard to remember because it's been so long since he played, but he's got a lot of different ways he can help the team.
He looks like he'd be a power hitter, but he's a speed guy.
Well, you know, the power, a lot of times that's the last thing to come, and he hasn't even been able to get to the last thing because he's gotten hurt with all the stuff in front of it. But, you know, he's got a good arm, he can run down balls, he's got great speed. Strikes out too much, but you know it's still, the jury is, I think, still way out on him.
Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Lee, and where's Lee from? Newton Falls. Hello, Lee. Long time no talk.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. Jim Ingraham with us.
Yes. First, I just want to say I've been reading your book, Jim, and I find it very entertaining.
Thank you.
I forgot to show it. Jim wrote the book, Mike Hargrove and the Cleveland Indians, A Baseball Life. And it's available at bookstores as well as Amazon, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
and Jim was at the Tribe Fest the other day, and brisk sales. I don't know how many brisk sales there were of tickets, but, well, we'll see. I made a suggestion to the Indians marketing people.
Oh, yeah.
I said, opening day is good. As soon as you say opening day is whatever, March 26th, that'll sell out in 5 minutes. Don't tell anybody about it. Just start promoting the second game
Yeah, yeah.
as opening day.
Then you'd have
Lee,
two
they
good
didn't.
crowds.
Yeah, they didn't think it was a good idea.
I guess that sounds a good idea to me.
Me too. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to get your thoughts on this new three-batter pitching rule.
Yeah, I don't like it, Jim. How about you?
It's awful. I mean,
It's awful.
They shouldn't be getting into telling managers how to run the game,
right?
Which is exactly what this is, and there's no big mystery. This is doing. They're trying to speed up the games, and all you got to do is cut down the in between, the 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, the rules are there
between innings. You can do it that way. I mean, you shouldn't, or make the batter stay in the batter's box. I mean, you can't legislate how a manager's supposed to use his bullpen, especially in the Indians' case with a guy in Francona who's maybe the best bullpen handler in the sport.
How many minutes do you think Major League Baseball saved by pointing the guy to first base on an intentional pass? Yeah. 5?
If that, not even, probably like 30 seconds or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, in the whole league, you couldn't have saved anything.
It's like they're trying to solve a problem that's easily solvable, but they refuse to. They keep looking for stuff on the margins that'll do it.
Yeah, you know, Lee, I think you're going to agree with me, but if they would start worrying about the competitive balance of the league and either have some kind of a payroll heading or something, when the Boston Red Sox can't afford to keep a player, there's a problem right there.
Well, especially when the player's Mookie Betts, a Hall of Famer. When I think just in general, when a player drafts and develops a player that's going to be a potential Hall of Famer, as Betts and Francisco Lindor are, you should be able to keep those at the very minimum.
Right.
The team deserves to have the upper hand on keeping that player, and you shouldn't have to lose potential Hall of Famers. You know, it's one thing if you lose just an everyday guy, but you're the franchise cornerstone.
How do you do it?
Well, you have a salary cap. I think. Or you have revenue sharing where everyone's local TV and radio revenues go into one big pot and it's spread,
Right.
it's divided 32 ways.
Anything else, Lee?
Well, I'm just going to agree with all that. And a team like the Indians, in order for them to compete, they have to get lucky on their 4A players, and they have to be able to develop a farm system to get these guys for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, and have the kind of pitching the Indians have. That kind of masks a lot of ills with the pitching the Indians have.
Starting pitching is only as good as their bullpen, and the starting pitchers can't pitch shutouts every game.
No, you're right. All right, Lee, great to talk to you. 216-575-0403. Email us during the show at real-leslevine@gmail.com. So what do you think, assuming it's a right-handed pitcher opening day, what does the Indians outfield look like?
Well, probably, I would say Reyes and Mercado and maybe DeShields in center or left, I don't know. I mean, I get the sense that, when you come to here, they traded Corey Kluber and got DeShields, one of the two guys they got that unless he falls flat on his face in spring training, I presume you
think they jumped early on Kluber?
On Kluber?
They took the first offer that was out there?
It's hard to say. I mean, we have no way of knowing. And no one will care about that if Clase, the reliever they got, turns into a Goose Gossage.
Good point. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Explore your interests. Find a program that puts you on a path to a bright future with Tri-C, offering more than 1,000 courses and over 140 career and technical programs. Go to tri-c.edu to find out more information. Mike Macedo will join us from Nature's Stone. We'll find out what Mike's thinking. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
Cavalier coach and player Lenny Wilkins is elected to the Basketball Hall of Fame on this date in 1989. He goes into the hall with Boston Celtic great guard K.C. Jones. 216-575-0403 is the number to reach us. Jim Ingraham is with us. Let's say hi to Mike from Nature's Stone. Wow, it's Mike from Nature's Stone. I combined the two.
Yeah, wow, Nature's Stone. How you doing?
We're doing well. Jim Ingraham is with us tonight.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, Jim. How are you?
Good.
All right, I'm just showing the book, Jim's book, Mike Hargrove and the Cleveland Indians, A Baseball Life, and it's a terrific read.
Wow.
There's some stuff, I forgot, Jeff Maddow was on the Indians team in '95, is that correct?
Yeah, I think he was somewhere in there.
The first baseman that nobody remembers, not Ryan Garco, somebody else. Herb Perry.
Richie Sexton?
Oh, Herbert.
No,
Perry,
Herbert
yeah.
Perry.
Herbert Perry. Yeah.
He started
Herbert
several.
Perry,
He started several of the World Series games. Not the guy you'd necessarily want to have.
Well,
but they did.
They had him and they used him.
All right, Mike. So you, if you were watching last night, first of all, you had a a debate if you wanted to watch the XFL or if you wanted to watch Andre Drummond have a nice game, except his other teammates forgot to play last night.
Well, yeah, the XFL that doesn't move me. I have to say, I'm footballed out. I wish they would have waited about a month and then started it, but it is what it is. So I did not watch the XFL, but I did watch Andre Drummond, and yes, his teammates forgot to play. I don't think that they really knew how to use them and what to expect. In terms of what he brings to the table and where he's going to be and all that stuff. He commands so much attention and he commands the ball so often that I don't think they didn't know what to do yet. But he was fun to watch. I will say that because he's very active and he's an interior scorer, which is something they really don't have.
I know the NBA has changed that the big man in the middle, they don't post up guys anymore. But if your guy's way better than everybody else defensively, why wouldn't you do that?
Sure. And there were times last night where you saw he had his man pinned and they did not get him the ball. And that's a big thing when you got him pinned and you're a big guy like that with that touch on the inside and you got him pinned down low. You want to feed him the ball quick and let him get that quick shot off, but they didn't do that. Love got it to him a couple times in those situations because Love knows how to play with a guy like that. But I think the rest of them need to grow into it a little bit.
If I were John Beilein, the first thing I would say is, all right, you made 2 of 3 3-pointers. That's the last 3-pointer we want to see you make.
Well, on this team, hey, fire it up. You got nothing to lose. You might as well get better at them. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. You're on this team to block shots, grab rebounds, and put in 15, 20 points a game on the interior.
Jim?
Yeah, he was their best 3-point shooter last night, so he should have shot more, actually.
I guess that's right. I didn't do my homework on that one. You getting excited about the Indians, Mike?
I am. I think the Indians have a great ball club. I think the Domingo Santana signing, if it is official, I don't know for sure, but assuming that goes forward, I think that's a big pickup. He's a typical Indians guy, 27 years old, coming off of a season where he got injured, which led to his stats being a little bit worse than what they should have been. He was head and shoulders on his way to becoming the MVP of the league in the first half of the season before he had the injury. So, this guy's a big guy. He's 6'5". He hits with power. He's a right fielder, left fielder type player. Not a great defensive player, but certainly enough to give you some out there, and he can split time with Reyes if they're going to play Reyes in the outfield to give him some days at DH, and then Santana days at DH so they don't have to play full time in the outfield. So love that move. I think the Indians lineup is good enough to make some noise, and I think that they have the best pitching staff in baseball. I think their bullpen is going to be phenomenal.
Are you guys, Mike and Jim, are you guys like me when they mention a name and you hadn't heard of him, then you really realize, oh, he's a 30 home run a year guy?
Yeah, the Indians are, to their credit, they're really good at finding these guys that aren't big name guys,
right.
but
and for cheap contracts.
Yeah, can come in and do things for you. They've built their bullpens like that forever. And now Santana and even Cesar Hernandez is another guy that's not a star caliber guy maybe, but they're quality, solid, productive major league players.
Are you guys surprised that Kipnis didn't get anybody to bite?
I am, yeah. At least on a minor league contract as a non-roster guy, there's no risk for the team there. But
right.
They just must not have liked what they saw from him the last couple of years.
Not so much in this market, though. I mean, this is an unusual market. The last 3 or 4 years, you see the big name guys almost wait, until they get close to spring training before they sign, and a lot of these mid-level guys, like Santana, I mean, he signed for $1 million, which to you and I is a lot of money. But a professional baseball player,
what did Kipnis make last year?
That's nothing.
$14 million.
Kipnis made $14 million last year.
Yeah, he made $14 million last year. So these guys are not signing big money contracts, and it could be that he's just waiting until the last ball drops before he signs whatever contract might be available to him. But Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, he's regressed quite a bit over his career, and he's had to battle a lot of injuries, and people don't want to invest that kind of money in somebody. He's still a starting caliber second baseman at the major league level, but it's an investment.
Hey,
and they don't want to invest that kind of money in him.
As far as the Browns are concerned, will you be happy if you don't hear anything from them until, I don't know, August?
Unless it's some major signing that's going to re-up their offensive line, yes. I don't want to hear another word from them.
I forgot. We can talk about the draft.
April draft, then after that, August.
I forgot they have a draft to worry about. Okay, you can listen to them about the draft. And then after that, we'll see you at training camp.
I'm with you. I'd love to hear that they signed a big-name tackle, and that would be a big plus. Or any offensive lineman for that matter. That's a quality upgrade to what they have. But short of that, give me the draft in April, and let's be all quiet on the Western Front until we get to the season.
All right, all fine at Nature Stone?
Everything's great, Les. Great year that we're having so far, and just appreciate all the customers out there who have made us who we are today. It's a special place.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Thanks, guys. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Great to talk to you as always, Mike. Mike Macetta from Nature Stone, one of the great guys, one of the great companies. Thanks, Michael. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Northeast Factory Direct, East, West, and South. They got them all over the place, and all you're going to do is save money. You're going to pay less than half price in most instances. Alex in the business 20 years now. You see his commercials all the time. Started with one piece of furniture in a garage in Lakewood, and look what he's turned it into, one of the great businesses in all of Northeast Ohio. It's Northeast Factory Direct and northeastfactorydirect.com. We'll come back in a moment. Sokolowski's University Inn. It's Cleveland's oldest family-owned and operated restaurant, open 11 to 3 Monday through Friday. Friday and Saturday nights for dinner. And the winner of the James Beard Foundation Award some 4 years ago, and only 5 restaurants get that award each and every year. Mike and Bernie Sokolowski, proud winners of that distinguished award, the James Beard Foundation Award. We'll come back in a moment. We'll take a look at our Facebook question of the day, and it's a good one. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get Nature Stone and never replace your basement flooring again. Your concrete is uneven, damp, and not healthy. Carpet and tile don't last, breed mold and mildew, and give worthless warranties. Nature Stone permanently corrects uneven concrete and is not affected by dampness or moisture. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, there are no hidden maintenance costs. Act now and save up to 50% with our volume discount pricing. Must be installed by the end of February. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Let's take a look at this date in Les-Levine history. After learning in 1969, after learning the United States was going to land a man on the moon, Les asked his science teacher if they could try it for the sun. He was told it would be too hot, so Les said, well, why don't they just go at night?
That's when you got asked to leave the room.
Now, that wasn't quite on the level of Peekaboo Street, but it was up there.
No, Peekaboo Street
is by itself.
Beeman long jump.
There's a million people who have no idea what you just said.
I know.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Andre-Drummond made his debut yesterday for the Cavaliers. If you just look at this list, it's pretty impressive. 19 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, 7 of 17 from the field, 2 for 3 in three-pointers, and 3 for 7 in free throws. Not bad, but except for one thing, they lost by a bigger margin than they've ever lost at home in history.
That would be a good analytics project for somebody. What was the best single performance in a losing team in NBA history, I wonder?
On a game-by-game basis? Or?
Just a single game. What's the best anyone's ever done when their team lost?
I'd say some game that Wilt Chamberlain played in that he lost.
Yeah. Whenever there's any kind of record, it's like Wilt's in there 5 times and no one else is a couple
rebounds. He has 100 rebounds a game, 100 points. He almost had 100.
Yeah, it's almost like whatever the record is, so-and-so will have one, and then it's the most since Wilt Chamberlain did.
Right. His first of 7. Wilt... I mean, if he was told you got to go out and get 50 rebounds, he'd go get 50 rebounds.
Yeah. But you know what's funny, when you look at him now, if you look at pictures back then, he doesn't stand out physically like the guys today do.
Right, he's sort of thin, actually,
and
in the lower body.
It was almost like players just weren't that big except for him.
Right.
I mean, tall, I'm talking about, and that was a lot of it, but he was a great athlete.
The amazing thing about that 100-point game is it may not have happened, but that's a different story for another day. There's some people who don't believe there's no tape of it, nothing.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that it took place in Hershey, Pennsylvania. But in that game, and he was a terrible foul shooter, he was 28 for 33 in that game from the foul line.
Right.
He couldn't have done that in practice.
It was probably half of his foul shots for the year, maybe.
That he made?
Yeah.
Maybe so. So what did we see? Those numbers you saw, is it something to build on here? I mean, it looks like he wants to play here next year.
It's better than them losing by 40 and him having a bad game, I guess. So, it's a worthwhile pickup for them because, worst comes to worst, he doesn't pick up the option, and you got $28 million in cap room to deal with.
So here's the deal. Kobe Altman says the Cavs are happy with John Beilein. That's our Facebook question of the day. He said they were happy. Should they be happy?
I would say they're probably a little disappointed in the one-loss record, but when you bring in a college coach to the NBA, you're maybe leaving yourself open for this because it's a completely different sport almost.
Sure.
I would say
with all the travel involved too.
The travel, the number of games, the fact you never get to practice hardly, the egos of the players. All the players are making more than you.
Yeah, but
I believe in college, none of the players make more than the coach.
No, very few. But the question is. When you look at the Cavaliers situation, and you're right, you don't know what you're going to get on a night by night basis. You don't even know who can play that night. They've come up with some phony injury.
They had to anticipate coming into the season they were going to be one of the 5 worst teams in the league. So why not start at ground zero and let this coach try to learn the game and get acclimated.
But you shouldn't get beat by the bad teams at home, as bad as they have been.
Right. Yeah. There's been a lot of that, which that would be very disturbing, I think, if I was the owner.
All right, so Kobe Altman says the Cavs are happy with Beilein. Should they be? Michael Spots, 13 wins and 40 losses. Lost the last 12 home games, 32.5 games behind Milwaukee. If he's happy with that, maybe he's the problem. Glenn Berger, if Altman is happy with Coach Beilein, he most assuredly is unhappy with the players on the court. There is little, if any, improvement among the very young first-year players. They really need the time off during the All-Star break. Doug, I don't know how to pronounce it, Wito, I guess. If you're drafting 18-year-old kids expecting them to play a man's game, it ain't going to happen. Larry Pantages, Chuck Daly and Larry Brown adapted to the pro and college game. Jerry Tarkanian and Rick Pitino did not. It's too soon to know about Beilein, but the NBA culture is to change coaches like smoke detector batteries, so we'll probably never find out. A couple more. Dave Shoup, not happy, or happy is not a word I would use in a sentence with the word Cavaliers in it until the season ends. Then you could say the Cavs, we're just happy it's over. And Trent Harrop says, I'm very pleased with Coach. Sounds better to hear management is behind him as well. now get the player that could be the true core of the many excellent complement players that we have. I don't know how many excellent complement players we have.
Well, I think what you hope to see is, are the players, especially the young ones, better at the end of the season than they were at the beginning of the season? Not so much wins and losses, but player development is what's.
Do you see it?
Foremost. A little bit, yeah. I think Porter's shown some stuff that he can be pretty useful. And I think Garland tries to do the right thing most of the time, it appears to me, as opposed to Sexton, who I think kind of goes off on his own every once in a while.
Let's go to BP, who's in Pepper Pike. BP, how are you?
Doing well, guys. How are you?
Good, good.
Well, it's funny. The Cavs season is, even though, we're coming up on the All-Star break, really the season's about 65% over. So as far as I'm concerned, the pain is almost over. So, there's not that much to talk about as far as, they're tanking, they're trying to get a high draft pick. And they added Andre-Drummond, which was really a shocker to me.
Jim made a point.
As an NBA fan, I was like, I can't believe, I thought he was supposed to go to one of those contenders, not to a team that's got the second worst record in the NBA.
Yeah, Jim made a point that the Cavaliers just don't seem like they're improving.
He's kind of right. I think, like you guys just said, they've lost at least 12 or 13 games in a row at home, which is really hard to do in the NBA. In the NBA, you're supposed to at least go 500 at home, and then, you lose a lot of games on the road. But even when the Cavs had those really bad teams, with Bobby, Phils, Mills, and Hill, they were 40 and 40 every year.
And Magley and Bagley.
At least competitive at home, and they were an ugly team back then.
Yeah, you're right. So, hey, BP, I'll be on 92.3 The Fan Friday, Monday, and next Friday.
I will be certain to listen, and I will probably call in. I did want to mention that what's the status with Myles Garrett? Did they have any more of an outcome today?
No, they met, and they did not say when they will have that decision or what the decision will be. But I don't think it's going to be that long. What do they have to check on?
I hope they should just reinstate the guy now, sooner than later. That's what I'm hoping.
All right, BP, good to talk to you as always.
Take care. Have a good night, guys.
Good night. You can see us live Monday through Friday from 6 until 7, including Dave Bacon's Weekend Winners. And you can see us from 6 until 7. If you can't call us at that point, you can call us on the voicemail of Truth and Reason. Leave us a message at 216-200-6650. We'll air the messages and respond to them. I got to remember, though, not to argue with a tape.
Yeah.
But what do you mean by that? 216-575-0403 if you want to get in for the last segment. We're going to do How Come Quickies. Jim's going to grade them for us. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get Nature Stone and never replace your garage flooring again. Your concrete is cracked, uneven, and not safe. Paints and poly coatings don't last, are slippery, and give worthless warranties. Nature Stone permanently corrects cracked, uneven concrete, eliminates slipping hazards, and is easy to clean. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, there are no hidden maintenance costs. Act now and save up to 50% with our volume discount pricing. Must be installed by the end of February. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tomorrow night, Bud Shaw, WKYC.com, will join us. You see us live from 6 until 7 exclusively on cleveland.com, and you can follow us and archive us throughout the day. You can also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/more-sports-les-levine. New content is posted each and every day. Wednesday night, the D-Man Dennis Maniloff will be here. On Thursday, it'll be Paul Hoynes. Friday, it'll be Dave Bacon's Weekend Winners show. And we're still efforting to get Brian Anderson. We need to get him before he heads down to spring training. And he's been sick, his family's been sick, and he's reporting that they're all doing much better right now. So hopefully we'll get him next Monday. All right, here we go. Ready to grade them?
I am. Shoot.
Did you just go like this?
The Art Carney.
Another reference people don't know.
Yeah, I got a million.
You ever see when he was on Jackie Gleason, The Honeymooners? He was a great dancer.
Yeah, he was very graceful. Yeah, athletic almost. Yeah.
All right, Toledo Mike checks in. He's been on a roll, Jim.
Okay.
How come I just got back from a pleasure trip? I took my mother-in-law to the airport. I believe that's a Rodney Dangerfield thing, but that's okay.
Yeah, I'll give him a 70.
A 7? 7.0.
7.0.
Mike from Stowe. How come fans should know a Cavalier attitude is you don't care? Is he trying to say the Cavaliers don't care? I think that's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, that's a little murky. 6.0.
6.0? This from Big Ed. How come my inferiority complex isn't a very good one?
I don't even get that.
You got to think about it a little bit.
Oh, I see. Yeah. We'll go 6.5 there.
All right, I think you'll like this one. It's on the edge of politically incorrect, but we're going to use it anyway. I'm going to blame it on Big Ed. How come I got an email from a bored woman, 33, looking for some action, so I sent her my ironing? That'll keep her busy.
Not bad. I'll go 7.5.
I know, but by the way, the opinions and quickies heard on More Sports and Les-Levine are not necessarily his. Mr. Gullible checks in with a couple. How come when I told my brother that I was hungry for fast food, he brought me a cheetah burger? How come a soldier who... Oh, go ahead, give me a number.
Solid 7.
Solid 7. How come a soldier who survived mustard gas and pepper spray is a seasoned veteran? I have a...
That's almost... it's too intellectual.
Too intellectual.
Take points off for that.
And we certainly know you can't be too intellectual for this show.
6.5.
But I do have a how come quickie, which I'll use soon. How come we can get a man on the moon, right?
Yeah.
He can walk on the moon. But Les-Levine can never get an order straight from a drive-through window. I think the record in a row is 2.
Do you think back in the 50s someone said, how come we could do this, but we can't put a man on the moon?
It's like the best thing since sliced bread. What was it before sliced bread?
It's just a fistful of bread.
All right, John Patrick. How come a cow who doesn't produce is a milk dud?
Not bad.
Not bad.
That's a good 7.
It's got a pun in there, and it's quick, which is most important. Got about a minute. What else is on? By the way, I'll take a half minute of it to tell you. If you're an Indians fan, this is a great book to get. And it's Mike Hargrove and the Cleveland Indians, a baseball life. It's terrific. And if it clears, not that it clears up some things, but it's remindful of a lot of things in the 95 World Series and 97. I mentioned Brian Anderson. Brian is asked all the time, why didn't they keep him in the game instead of Mesa? Well, I can think of 12 reasons. One is he'd already been lifted for a pinch hitter. That's number one. Number 2, Mike Jackson's arm had just about fallen off. Mm-hmm. And number 3, you used Mesa for 162 games. Why would you change in Game 7?
Right. Although that year, he started to waiver, Hargrove did. They about split the closing duties, Jackson and...
yeah, but Jackson had no arm left at that
Mesa.
Game 7.
Yeah, in the postseason, they rode him hard, and then by the Game 7 of the Florida series, it had to be Mesa or nobody.
Did you cover
and
it very...
And it was both.
2 things that you covered great. You covered the wheel play, which is if you're a baseball aficionado, you got to read how the Indians did that in '95. And the other thing is Mesa wanted to throw a fastball, right?
Yeah.
And he kept shaking off Alomar, and finally
3 different times, and then Hargrove just finally said,
throw whatever you want.
He didn't want to throw it, and I'd rather have him be committed to the pitch he's going to throw rather than do mine and screw it up. And that Charles Johnson ended up getting the sacrifice fly that tied the game, and it went downhill from there.
There's so many different possibilities on that, and I've always stated that that's the 97 team. I've always said that of the running of the group from 94, which is the strike year, from 94 to, 2001, that was that was not the best team. This is the worst team they had. The
Hargrove said
97
that was
team.
the least talented of the 5 division winners, but he thought they were the grittiest and the gamest and scrappers and all that stuff. And he gave a lot of credit for that to Matt Williams.
They only won 96 games, I believe, that year.
Yeah.
Or
80, might not even know.
No, 86.
86, yeah.
Think about that.
He almost got fired in August of that year. I mean, they were just.
They would have really done that?
Floundering.
Are they considered?
Yeah, Dick Jacobs stepped in and said, no, we're going to stay the course with him. But
All
it
right.
was close.
We got to go. Jim Ingraham, great job as always. We'll see him soon. We'll see you tomorrow night with Bud Shaw of all the shows I've ever done. This was the most recent.